Okay, thank you. Anybody else having questions?
Yes, I'm sorry. This is Commissioner Beasley. I just wanted to confirm that I was following this correctly. It was saying that the fire department said they could pull from the pond if needed, but then it talks about fire hydrants. So are the fire hydrants connected to the pond some kind of way? Yes? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm I was following it right. Thank you.
Mhm.
And I just want to follow up on those questions. So any of those things that might be necessary at some point, water mains, gas service, that would be on the onus would be on the developer to pay for those services as needed. Is that?
Yeah, and it would likely not happen until there's more development that's of an urban density in this area of the city. So that the infrastructure costs are then shared by more owners and developers rather than just this owner.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other questions? All right, is there anybody from the public who would like to speak on these two cases, docket item C2 and C3?
Mr. Chair, someone named Pam Leonard has raised their hand. I'm going to promote Pam.
Okay. Hi, good morning, Pam. As you come off of mute, would you please state your name and address for the record, please? Ms. Leonard, looks like you've been promoted and you just need to take yourself off of mute at this point in time.
Okay. Pam Leonard, 34. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
3401 Northwest Oak Crest Drive, Kansas City, Missouri, 64151. I am actually here for other meetings that were supposed to be listed as continued, but you've only listed the 2 as continued.
Well, right now we're in the consent agenda items, and we will get to the excuse me, the regular docket here in a few minutes. So maybe that's one of the cases you're looking to hear today.
Probably. I'm brand new to this, so I apologize. So I'll just sit and listen then until I hear it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Because we'll be doing that next.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else, Joe, that's raised their hand about docket item C2 or C3?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay. We'll close public testimony and I'll take a motion on these 2 cases, please.
This is Commissioner Enders. I move to approve C2 and C3 with conditions.
All right.
Second.
Okay. I've got a motion and a second. Lisa, do you mind taking roll call, please?
Commissioner Allender?
Aye.
Beasley?
Aye.
Crowell?
Aye.
Enders?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Rojas?
Aye.
And Sadowski?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes for the approval of docket items C2 and C3, 7-0. Okay, let's move into our regular agenda items. Joe, looks like we've got several cases to be continued off docket as well as some that will be continued. You want to go through all of those at one time and take one motion for those?
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay.
So we have the first one is docket item 2, which is case number ROW 2020-00023. This is a request to vacate several alleys generally bound by West 27th Street to the north, West 28th Street to the south, Southwest Boulevard to the west, and Holly Street to the east. The docket says continuance off docket. However, staff is now recommending continuance to February 2nd without fee. Docket item 4, case number CPC 2020-00106. A request to approve a rezoning on about 3 acres at 9618 Grandview Road from District R7.5 to District MPD. Staff is recommending this case be continued to February 2nd without fee. Docket item 7, case number CPC 2020-00140. Request to approve a development plan in District R80 to allow multiple residential structures on the north side of East 107th between Lane Avenue on the east and James A. Reed Road on the west. Staff is recommending continuance off docket with fee. Docket item 14.1 and 14.2, which is case number CPC 2020-00174, located at 6839 Northwest Wacomas, or at the southeast corner of Wacomas and 68th Street. Staff is recommending continuance of the rezoning, and which is 14.1, and the development plan, which is 14.2, off docket with one fee. Docket item 17, case number CPC 2020-00181, request to approve the council approved sign plan for the I-49 Industrial Center at the southeast corner of Missouri Highway 150 and Botts Road. Staff is recommending continuance to February 2nd without fee. And the last one is docket item 18, case number SUP 2020-00057. This is a request to approve a special use permit for short-term rental at 2723 Holmes Street. Staff is recommending continuance to February 16th without fee.
Okay. Joe, I also had listed on our agenda for docket item 6 to be continued off docket.
Oh, you're right about that. I apologize. I skipped that one. Docket
Okay.
item 6, case number CPC 2020-00142. A request to approve a development plan for the Pendleton Heights infill project, which is located at 401 Park Avenue and 408 Olive Street. Staff is recommending continuance off docket with fee.
Okay, and I also had number 8, 13, 10, 11, and 9.
All right. Docket item 8, case number CPC 2020-00157. A request to approve a rezoning from District R6 to District R2.5 on about half an acre located at 2029 Summit Street. Staff is recommending continuance of February 2nd with fee. Docket 9, case number SUP 2020-00051, a request to approve a special use permit for auto sales located at 7030 Troost Avenue. Staff is recommending continuance to February 16th without fee. Docket item 10, case number SUP 2020-00025, a request to approve a special use permit for a gas station located at 87th Street and Blue Ridge Boulevard. Staff is recommending continuance to February 2nd with fee. And docket item 11, case number SUP 2020-00058, request to approve a special use permit for a drive-through restaurant on a boulevard located at 125 East Linwood Boulevard. Staff is recommending continuance to February 2nd without fee.
Okay, now how about docket item 19.1 and 19.2? Both of those are listed to be dismissed. Do we need to hear those individually?
No, we can do those at the same time if you'd like.
Let's
And
do it.
Mr. Chair, I must have gotten interrupted when I was highlighting the continuances because there's another one on docket item 13. I apologize.
Yeah, that's the one I was gonna ask about 13.
Okay.
Yeah, that one's SUP 2020-00056. A request to approve a special use permit for an oversized monument sign on about 10 acres at 3201 North Ameristar Drive. And then we can do the dismissals for docket item 19, which is 2 cases. 19.1, case number CPC 2020-00184. A request to rezone property from District R7.5 to District R80 at 8941 James A. Reed Road. And docket item 19.2, case number SUP 2020-00059, a request to approve a special use permit to reuse the former Archbishop O'Hara High School for a recovery center on about 30 acres at the same location. In both of these cases, the applicant is requesting dismissal.
Okay,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
12.1, 12.2, we've got approval on the docket, but then when you go into the staff reports, that's, I believe they're continued until February 2021. If I'm reading it right.
I saw it continued February 16th.
February 16th, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at docket item, you said 12.
Yeah, 12.1, 12.2,
Okay,
staff report.
Page 64. 62.
Jamie, can you speak to those, please?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question on this case?
Yeah, so docket item number 12, it shows in our, in our applicant, or whatever, the
Mhm.
docket list, that it's supposed to be heard today, but in the actual staff report, it's stating to be continued to February 16th. So we're just trying to confirm
Yes,
which is correct.
that's correct. It was a last minute change from the applicant, so we are needing to continue it.
Okay, so then, Joe, if you don't mind reading docket item 12 then as
Sorry
well.
about that.
All right. Docket item 12.1 is case number CPC 2020-00172, a request to approve an amendment to the Stadium Park East area plan to change the recommended land use from mixed use community to commercial. And docket item 12.2, case CPC 2020-00171, request to approve a rezoning from B1-1 to B3-1 to allow automotive uses on about 1 acre located at 5030 Blue Ridge Cutoff. Staff is recommending continuance of both cases. Jamie, to what date?
Is it the 16th, the second meeting?
To February 16th with or without fee?
Without fee.
Okay.
Okay, so let's review. So I have docket item 2 to be continued to February 2nd. Docket item 4. Docket item 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17, 18, and 19, all to be continued either off docket or to the date stated or dismissed. Does that sound like catch them all? Okay. Any questions from the commission on any of these cases to be continued? Okay, seeing none. So Joe, let's go to the public. Does the public have any comments?
I saw a couple of hands raised. Just a moment.
Okay. I see that Miss Leonard is already available and unmuted. Are one of these docket items one you were hoping to talk about?
I'm not sure which docket number it is, but it ends in 174, and you did say that it is continued. I just wanted to make sure it was going to be continued.
Docket item 174.
No, the last digits of the item number.
14.1.
14.
Yeah. So that's the Hopewell Center at 6839 Northwest Wacomas Drive.
Yes.
Okay, yes, it's going to be continued and it looks to be off docket with a fee. So that means that when it does come back, it will be re-advertised and you'll probably get another notice on that one at that time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else, Joe, raise their hand to speak on the continuance of these cases?
Yes, there are 5 people. The first is Harriet.
Okay. So Harriet, as you are promoted, please, and you bring yourself off of mute, please state your name and address for the record. Looks like you're still on mute. There you go.
Okay, my name is Harriet Fondren and I live at 5030 Byron's Ford Road. I'm calling to voice my disapproval for having a automobile service there at 5030 Blue Ridge. Within the last two weeks, I've called about tires being dumped behind their property, which is across the street from me, which is all tree and grass. And last week I called about 6 tires were there.
Okay.
And prior to that, last year I called all the time. It was a automobile dealership there, and I've always find 10 and 20 tires dumped across the street. And I'm afraid the same thing is going to happen if this project is approved.
Okay,
Just last week, I called on tires also. It's just a
Yep.
coincidence. It may be a coincidence or maybe not. But when they clean out the place, I found 20 tires across the street. I had to call. Now they clean out this place here again, and it was about 6 tires out there.
okay.
Last week, it was
Ms.
another
Harriet?
tire out there. It may be a
Harriet?
coincidence?
If I
Yes.
can interrupt. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I understand, and what I would do is put in a complaint to the cities, the 311. But at this point in time, this case is.
I do it all the time.
Okay. We are not going to hear the case today. We're going to continue it to another date. It looks like it will be reheard on February 16th. So if you're not able to contact the applicant between now and then, please join us back again on February 16th, if that works.
Where's the applicant's information on here? No telephone number for the applicant.
Maybe Ms. Hickey, you
Any
can,
good to contact him? You're
Maybe
the
Ms.
city
Hickey-
planning commission. You have to make the final decision.
we will make a decision on February 16th. We're not going to hear the case today. So what I suggest is maybe Jamie, you can, I think this is your case. Maybe you can get in touch with Harriet about this case and her complaints and have those available for the applicant.
Absolutely.
Yes, I
Ms.
left
Harriet-
word on her voicemail as well. Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
Yeah,
I
sure.
will contact you using the chat feature, and we'll communicate offline.
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Joe, next.
The next person is Janine Smeroldo.
Okay. Good morning. It looks like you're off of mute. If you don't mind stating your name and address for the record, please. Hi, Janine. Janine? Joe, maybe we'll come back to Janine here in a couple of minutes and see if she can reestablish her connection.
All right. Next person is Max Alexander, whom I've just promoted.
Okay,
Hi there. Yeah, Max Alexander, 6678 Northwest Wacomas Drive, Kansas
Okay.
City.
good morning. I believe the case that you're looking to speak about, it will be actually continued off docket. Is this the one of the Hopewell Corner?
2 case numbers.
I think you're looking to speak about Hopewell Corner. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I heard you guys say that it was continued, but it doesn't match the case number that I have on my letter. So I'm just trying to make sure that we're talking about the same apples.
Yeah, it should be case number 2020-00174 and 2020-00166.
Okay, I have 166, but I've not seen the 174.
Yeah, they're just a companion case is what they are. So you might have just received the one notice just so they could tie the application out, when they send the actual notice out.
Okay, so is 166 also continued with the 174?
That's correct.
Okay,
Yeah. So both, that's what we're suggesting that they be done and that is again to be continued off docket. So that means we won't see it on our docket to hear it any future planning commission case until they come back and say, look, we're ready to move forward with our project. Then they have to re-advertise at that time. So you'll get a new notice when they're ready to move forward with their project, or at least come back to us.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so it looks like Janine is back online with us, maybe? Can't hear you.
I can't hear her either.
Yeah,
It doesn't show she's muted, so I'm guessing maybe her computer doesn't have a mic.
I just texted her husband. I don't know if she's having problems or not. This is Pam Leonard again. And we just wanted to make sure that these two cases were continued, 00174 and 00166.
okay. Yeah,
And
that's
do you-
the,
I'm sorry, do you have a date?
we do not have a date because they're going to continue both of those cases off docket, meaning it won't be back on our agenda until the applicant comes back and says they're ready to move forward with their project. And at that time, they'll have to re-advertise and it will be redocketed to our city planning commission.
Okay, great. Well, I'm gonna let the owners or the people that I'm here with know that, and I'm gonna drop off the call if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you'll get a new notice when it's re-advertised.
All right,
down
thank you
the
so
road.
much.
Yeah, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so it sounds like Janine may be for the same case. Is that true?
Yes.
The Wacomas projects? Okay. All right. So Joe, you said you had somebody else that's raised their hand?
Yeah, there's someone named Matt Fox that's been promoted.
Okay. Matt has
Hello.
come offline.
Hi.
Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, this is Matt Fox at 2721 Holmes in Kansas City.
Okay.
My wife and I are here about which case?
2020-00057 for the special use permit for rental application at 2723 Holmes.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me see if I can find it.
Docket number 18.
Okay. All right, so at this time, we're looking to continue that case until February 16th.
Okay,
So we will not hear it today, or that's the hope, is we will not hear that case today until February 16th.
Will we get another letter in the mail letting us know about it?
No, you won't. Since since the boards or commissions continuing it to date certain, you will not get another letter.
But we'll be able to join
Yeah.
the same, okay.
It'll be at
And
the
then,
same time, 9 a.m. on the 16th.
okay, perfect. Then maybe you can also assist us. It's about, we're guessing an Airbnb property. What is the best way to file a complaint about an illegally run Airbnb property?
I would suggest, and I'll put this in the chat so you guys can see it, to reach out to the planner, Christopher Huey. And the best way is by email because staff work some days in the office and some days out. So I would suggest reaching out to him by email and discussing that with him. He can set up a call with you if you'd rather talk as well.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, is there anybody else, Joe, that's raised their hand to speak on these continuances?
Yeah, we have Jasper Malarney, promoting Jasper right now.
Okay. Good morning, Jasper. As you are promoted and then taken off of mute, please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, good morning. I lost audio there for a second. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, it's Jasper Malarney, 2726 Charlotte. I'm also concerned about its 2020-00057, docket number 18, special use permit for 2723 Homes. I understand that this has been continued, but it's basically a full-time party house now. I live.
Yep. Sir, we're not going to hear any merits of the case at this point in time. We're just going to talk about the actual continuance of it at this point.
Understood. I'll attend on the 16th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, the next person is R. Eshley.
Okay. Hi, good morning. As you've been promoted and you take yourself off of mute, please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Rochelle Gaines, and I live at 9001 Booth Avenue, Kansas City, Missouri, 64138. And I'm just wanted to verify that the special use permit for the Drug and Alcohol Recovery Center at O'Hara High School, if that was actually being dismissed, no longer on the docket anymore. And that is the zero.
Docket item 19.
So that is docket item, it sounds like it's docket item number 19, that the address is 9001 James A. Reed Road.
Yes.
Okay, so what the
It's a
applicant-
2.
Yeah, 19.1 and 19.2.
Yes.
Both of those cases are going to be, assuming that the vote goes through, they will be dismissed.
Okay.
So basically the project is canceled at this point in time.
Okay, that's all I wanted to verify. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Anybody else, Joe?
Last one is Khalid Banday.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Banday. If you don't mind stating your name and address for the record. Looks like you're still on mute. If you can unmute yourself. Mr. Banday, you're still on mute. You can unmute yourself. That'd be great. Okay. You just had yourself off of mute and now you put yourself back on.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
This is Gerald Menifee. It's not Mr. Bonday. I'm using his phone. I'm a project manager and my address is 6811 North Michigan, Gladstone, Missouri. I had a question about the fee that you're using in the continuance. What's that involving?
Can you be more specific on which case you're talking about?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's number 10. It's the 8725 Blue Ridge Boulevard, 00025.
Okay.
And I was wondering about the fee, what that was for?
Jamie, maybe you can help answer that question.
Sure. So oftentimes we make the determination to include a fee for continuance when staff has had to put work into a case that ends up being continued. That's one of the determining factors. So on this case, we are still awaiting. We reviewed one submittal with the traffic impact study. We are still waiting on revised plans to be able to move this case forward as was requested by the CPC. So that's just kind of for us to accommodate additional work hours outside the initial review period.
Well, the plans, as I understand, have already been submitted, but the traffic study's been reviewed, and I'm sending in today or tomorrow a revised version of the traffic study.
Okay, we can discuss this offline if you'd like. I just sent Mr. Banday an email, so we can discuss this offline. But we are still awaiting revised plans, elevations, and such. So
if you are going to discuss this offline, maybe we will hold docket item number 10 from vote then and get back to that later. Or we still just, I guess it's up to the commission as to whether or not it comes with a fee or not.
Well, we submitted the plans 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think somebody would have had them by now, at least them.
Mr. Menefee, again, we can discuss this offline. At this point, they're voting on to continue the case, not whether or not the case has been, their
All right.
plans submitted.
Okay.
Okay. I think the question was, Jamie, was more about the addition of a fee to re-advertise this particular project, or to bring it off of, to continue it to February 2nd.
Right, and I did recommend with fee, I guess it's at the pleasure of the commission, how you'd like to move that forward.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand the necessity of the fee and whether it should be applied or not.
Jamie, is there an additional set of plans you requested that they haven't provided? Is that in addition to, Mr. Menefee said they submitted something 3 weeks ago?
Yes.
Okay. And this case was one where the commission had previously requested more information, right?
That's correct.
So
Okay.
that's the purpose of it, is if we don't have everything we believe that the commission asked for and we're waiting on the customer to provide that, we do tend to recommend a fee in those cases.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you. Anybody else from the public, Joe?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close public testimony at this time. If we can now, let's see, talk about kind of what the thought of the commission is about docket item number 10, whether or not the fee should be assessed. And then I think that was really the only everything on here. And then after that, I'll take a motion.
I was going to go ahead and make the motion with leaving 10 with fee as stated, but happy to accommodate and do it differently.
Okay, my opinion, it sounds like the fee is necessary because we didn't get a full submittal the first time around, and you know, we heard part of the case and then had to send it back to get all the information. So that's my opinion.
Agreed.
Okay, so Commissioner Enders, go ahead and make a motion.
Okay, I move to continue docket item number 2 to February 2nd without fee. I move to continue docket items number 12.1 and 12.2 to February 16th without fee. And then I move to continue docket items number 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14.1 and 14.2, 17, 18, 19.1, and 19.2 as stated in the docket.
Okay, we've got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, so I have a motion and a second, and I believe Mr. Baker's with us, but maybe I think you need to hold out on this particular item. So Lisa, if you don't mind taking roll call for the other 7.
Commissioner Allender,
Aye.
Beasley,
Aye.
Crowell,
Aye.
Enders,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
Rojas,
Aye.
and Sadowski.
Aye.
Okay, looks like the motion passes for all those cases to be continued off docket or dismissed. So thank you for everybody's patience as we work through those. Looks like we're now to docket item number 1.
All right, docket item 1, case number CPC 2020-00162. This is a request to amend Chapter 88, the Zoning and Development Code as it pertains to the general common procedures contained in 88-505 and fees contained in 88-620. So I will be presenting this case. Bear with me while I share my screen.
Okay, thank you.
So we did briefly discuss this last meeting, and there are 2 amendments proposed in this report. Amendment A has to do with the public hearing notices that I read off the docket. That amendment we want to hold at this time. We are not asking for the commission to take action on it. That requires us to continue to work with the development community before we proceed. What we would like to ask you to move forward with is Amendment B. This is an amendment that has to do with our fee structure, and it relates to the fee assessed for minor subdivisions. All of our other subdivision applications have a cap on the fee, and in fact, all of our application types have a cap on the fee that does not exceed, I believe, $3,600 approximately, regardless of the size or the scope of the project. In the case of the minor subdivisions, there is no cap on the fee, and that has resulted recently in a minor subdivision application, which due to its acreage, I think it was like 90 acres, in size, it was relatively simple, straightforward, but because of its size and because there was no cap, the fee was over $6,000. So staff believes that the last time we did an amendment to the fee section, we accidentally left out the cap on the minor subdivision fee, and we're recommending that be added back in. The language, share that with you here. You can see these are the caps on preliminary plats not to exceed 1355, final plats not to exceed 1896, but the minor subdivisions did not have any such cap. We're proposing to have it match the final plats because that is the most similar application type that we have. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you. I assume that this was presented to the development community and they had lots of concerns about that?
I believe it has been shared, yes, but we have not received any comment.
Okay. All right, is there any questions from the commission to staff about these text amendment changes?
I have a question, but I guess it's not one that's recommended for changing. If you go to page 29, item M, I don't remember if it was highlighted. My
No.
question was why was the fee so high on, I think it was rezoning?
Are you talking about this right here?
Yes, that right there.
That's because this is for neighborhood downzonings and it involves often hundreds of parcels. And we have to conduct mailed notice and published notice of all those parcels. The last neighborhood downzoning we did, we had to mail notice to more than 1,200 properties. So due to the cost of the notice alone, that's part of the fee. Staff also has to do, there was an amendment, you guys recommended approval of at the last meeting regarding when we do neighborhood downzoning projects, staff has to physically place notice on each property that's made non-conforming. So we have to walk the neighborhood and identify the properties that are made non-conforming. We have to post notice on those properties. So there's just a lot of extra work that goes into these neighborhood downzonings. That's why the fee is so high.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay, any other questions for staff? All right, Joe, do we have anybody from the public that would wish to speak about docket item number 1?
I do not see anyone raising their hand.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close public testimony for docket item 1. If there's no further discussion amongst the commission, then I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve docket item number 1.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Lisa, do you mind taking roll call, please?
Commissioner Allender,
Aye.
Baker,
Aye.
Beasley,
I'm sorry, I had to find the mute since he changed the screen. Aye.
Crowell,
Aye.
Enders,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
Rojas,
Aye. Aye.
and Sadowski.
Aye.
Okay, it looks like the motion passes for docket item number 1, 8-0. Thank you, Joe, for bringing those forward. And it looks like we're ready for docket item number 3, and we have a quorum on this case. I'm trying to figure out who.
It's everyone.
Okay. 1, 2. Yep. All right.
All right, docket item 3, case number SUP 2020-00055. A request to approve a special use permit to allow for a private school in an existing building at 9201 Warnell Road. Jamie Hickey is the staff planner.
Hey, good morning. Again, this is a case that was continued. Let me give you a moment to share my screen and we'll just do a quick recap, and then I will share the revisions that were submitted and allow the applicant to share their update.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, so as a refresher, this is application at 9201 Warnell Road. It is for a school and childcare facility. The applicant is proposing a private Montessori daycare and school in the former church building on the site. Oops. Again, it's located kind of in the southwestern portion of the city. Again, on Warnell Road, and it is the existing church that has had previous proposals, but this is the most recent. These were the original plans that were submitted, and what was requested of the applicant was to come back with revised plans showing the location of future playground space, their fencing, and any easements that there may be of note on the property. So this was included at the end of the revised staff report for you all in the packet. But as we can see here, the applicant is proposing fencing kind of from this eastern portion of the building around through some of the open space and back around to kind of enclose the playground area. You can see that this section here is proposed as future hard surface playground. This area here is future turf surface playground, and then natural open space for the children to play as well. And all of that will be enclosed in the proposed fencing. They are proposing a 42-inch minimum fence. I do believe, and the applicants can speak to this in more detail, I do believe that the height of the fence is determined by Missouri state requirements for childcare facilities. And I do believe they have some information to share on those requirements. Additionally, they do show an easement here at the end of the rear of the property. In conversations with Stacy Lowe, who can speak to this in more detail if necessary, there should not be access issues with these existing easements. I think that there's sufficient access points to access this on the property. The final request made by the CPC was for the applicant to reach out to the adjacent property owner who owns the property to the south. I do believe that has happened, and at this time I will let the applicant speak in greater detail about what's come out of that process. I'd be happy to answer any questions on this, but I do again think that the applicant could speak in greater detail.
I don't think I have any questions. Commission, do you have any questions?
I have one question.
Okay.
For Jamie. Earlier in the document, it showed that you had 75 parking spaces, but in looking at how they've done the playground, has that number decreased?
It does, the plan still shows 75.
Okay.
So I don't believe that they're planning to lose any. Again, I can let the applicant answer that in more detail, but I do believe that they're planning to retain all parking spaces.
Okay, any other questions? All right, let's go ahead and welcome the applicant.
Promoting them all right now.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Sarah Vore. The property is 9201 Warnell that we're discussing. Nice to see everybody again. We have had lots of communication with our neighbor to the south. She explained that she wasn't able to make the public meeting we did in December. So we've used email, text, and snail mail to have lots of conversations with Judith. I think up until about 20 minutes before this meeting started, we were still having conversations. And fingers crossed, we'll have an in-person meeting with her later on this week. She's got a lot of concerns and questions, and I think some of them would have been answered at the general meeting, but we can go through them in great detail with her one-on-one to make sure she's got all her questions answered, all her needs met, and that she feels confident and secure with the property being used for children to her north.
Okay. The only thing I just had a question about is you've got two gates to access the playroom, but is there another gate on the backside so she can access her property back there?
The playground doesn't extend to the edges of our property in any direction. So there's a buffer of essentially uninterrupted property. We don't plan to remove any trees or do anything to the parts of the property that are outside of the fence, but end at our own property line. So some of the ongoing conversations with Ms. Parker are that she was interested in perhaps putting a fence along her north property line. I think the owners of the property are in conversations about sharing that expense or participating in that in some way. But our playground fence line will be well inside of the property line in all directions.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the commission?
Commissioner Allender, I just want to be clear. So have you cleared up that she has got access to her property from your property line?
It's our expectation, and I think she shares this understanding now, that we will not be providing access to her property through our property. Our property is an independent piece of land. She borders two streets to the east and to the west. And I think she's working on arrangements that are going to work for her to access property through some direction, which is not going through the school's property.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody else?
Just to Commissioner Beasley's earlier point, I think the parking did get reduced quite a bit. It looks like there's probably less than 40 spaces now. So
what we have done with the parking is, I don't know how many of you can see that drawing and see there is a line kind of running north-south from the building, which shows playground to the east and parking lot to the west. So the area within that playground area that is hard surface is the existing parking lot. Hard surface there. This is where the kids are going to use their trikes. This is where we're going to put a basketball hoop. This is where anything that requires a hard surface for the children will be placed. Outside of that area is going to be field turf, like you see on football fields. That's more designated for children who are young walkers, like toddlers, who really need an even surface. So some of those are going to be placed where the existing parking lot is. The existing parking lot will not be disturbed or disrupted. And that's why there's a double gate there. I don't know the specs. It's at least 10, 12 feet wide, so that we can use that deferred parking if we ever had an event that would require more spaces than are still available without accessing through that gate. So this is a typical procedure, I think, for many of these buildings are built as childcare, but they remain commercial office access and ability. So if they sold the building, they'd have that deferred parking on the playgrounds. It's a typical use. We've done it at least half a dozen other schools. So the parking stays there. It stays on the plan. It doesn't go away, but we get to use it for trikes and basketball hoops for part of the day.
Okay. Anybody else? Mr. Enders, did you have a question? Okay. All right, there's no more questions. Joe, let's open it up for public testimony.
There's someone with the screen name of CPC meeting. I'm going to promote them.
Okay. Hi, who's ever listed as CPC meeting, if you don't mind stating your name and address for the record, that'd be great.
Hi, my name is Judith Parker. I do own my address is P.O. Box 8605. My property is of 12 to 20 acres to the south of this property. I wanted to go on record that I support the proposed Montessori school and as other families and businesses welcome it to the neighborhood. I am now in touch. I've not met them. I've met one, but I've not met Sarah. I look forward to it regarding fencing, and I look forward to working with them for the health, safety, and welfare of the children and my own liability protection, because my adjoining land has one creek and a stream, both of which serve as a magnet. It's well documented that people and animals gravitate toward water sources. much of my land is wetland. It is almost impossible to enter it from the other end. But I am anxious to make this a positive experience, and I'm sure we can work together. And I feel positively about the school. And thank you for letting me speak. That's it.
Okay, thank you. All right, is anybody else, Joe? Okay,
Yeah, yes, there is. I'm sorry, I was muted.
okay.
Vicky Wolgast.
okay. Hi, Vicky, as you come off mute there, if you don't mind stating your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, I'm Vicki Walgast. I'm president of the South Kansas City Chamber of Commerce. We're located at 406 East Bannister Road. Just wanted to voice our organization's support for this project. The facility, the church has been vacant for a long time, and we feel like this is a great use for the community, and have had conversations with the developers and the owners. And I think they're going to be great community partners for us and very supportive, engaged in our community. So just wanted to voice that support.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Anybody else, Joe?
No, Mr. Chair, no one else has raised their hand.
Okay, at this time, we'll go ahead and close public testimony. Is there anything else you'd like to say, Sarah?
Can we please have our SUP so we can get started?
It seems like we're getting there, yes. All right, anything from the commission? I'd like to say, thank you for your patience through this, just making sure we have everything in place. And it's a fantastic project, in my opinion, and really looking forward to seeing this come together and be a part of the community down there. So thank you. All right, if I can get a motion, please.
This is Commissioner Enders. Move to approve docket item number 3 with conditions.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. Lisa, do you mind taking roll call on this motion, please?
Commissioner Allender,
Aye.
Baker,
Aye.
Beasley,
Aye.
Crowell,
Aye.
Enders,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
Rojas,
Aye.
and Sadowski. Aye.
Okay, it looks like the motion passes for approval of the project, 8-0. So thank you again for your time and good luck with your project.
Thanks so much. You guys have a great week.
You too. All right, Joe, is everybody doing okay? Looks like we're ready for docket item number 5.
All right, docket item 5 is 2 companion cases, starting with 5.1. Request to approve an amendment to an area plan amendment from mixed-use neighborhood residential low density park and open space buffer to mixed-use neighborhood residential low density and open space buffer on about 45 acres located east of the intersection of Northeast 96th Street and Maple Woods Parkway. And docket item 5.2, case number CPC 2020-00149, a request to rezone the same property from District R80 to Districts R10, R7.5, and R1.5. Chris Huey, staff planner.
Good morning, commissioners. As Joe stated, Christopher Huey, staff planner. We have 2 companion cases for an area plan amendment and for rezoning and the 2 parcels located at 9550 and 9600 North Brooklyn Avenue. Properties are currently zoned R-80 and have a kind of a mix of recommended land use from the Gashland-Nashua area plan. They did conduct their proper public engagement meeting on December 30th, 2020. So you see here, the site is kind of in the northern central quadrant of the city, kind of north of Gladstone. Here are the 2 parcels in question. Both are undeveloped and fairly heavily tree lined with a regulated stream highlighted in the kind of blue teal color running diagonally through the site. So the area is consistent of about 44 acres of land located just due east of the intersection of Northeast 96th Street and Maple Woods Parkway. They are proposing to rezone the property from its current designation from R-80 to a combination of districts R-1.5, R-7.5, and R-10. They also repent with any rezoning that doesn't fairly closely align with the recommended land uses of the adopted area plan. They have to file a companion area plan amendment case, which is they have done. It's important to note that they are more, not so much in contrary to the area plan, but more of adjusting the boundaries for more of a realistic alignment with the natural conditions of the site. So here's the proposed rezoning of the property. Right about here is where Northeast 96th Street would kind of tee into Maple Woods Parkway. The kind of northern 2/3 of the site would be rezoned to R-1.5, which is generally consistent with the recommended land use in the area, which we'll touch on here shortly. The eastern or back half of the property would be R-7.5, which is fairly compatible with the RA designations on the other side of North Brooklyn Avenue. And then as you come down Maple Woods Parkway, they'd be rezoned to R-10 for more estate size lots with single family residences. The R-10 district is a minimum 10,000 square feet per lot. So here on the left is the currently adopted area plan. This is an excerpt from the Gashua Nashland area plan. It's difficult to kind of do a precise overlay with this adopted plan and the proposal, but just to kind of using my cursor, this teal light green line down north and south of the site, that's Maple Woods Parkway. It's a dedicated greenway parkway on the city's adopted major street plan. As you can see at this intersection, the city's area plan does recommend a mixed use neighborhood, which is generally for more denser residential uses or light commercial uses, with single family off to the east, and then more of a greenway parkway kind of to the south. So essentially what they'll be doing is with this rezoning alignment, they'll be amending the area plan to follow those same land use or same division boundaries. So the mixed use neighborhood will actually be brought up a little bit further to the north, closer to Northeast 96th Street, and kind of swing back a little bit further to the east, which kind of follows the natural creekway that was shown earlier. This land use along Northeast Brooklyn Avenue will remain low density residential, which is the equivalent to the R-7.5. And then this greenway buffer park land, technically this is not parkland because it is private property, but it will be a more estate, very low density residential development of R-10. Looking at the proposed rezoning, we compared it with the guidelines in the adopted zoning development code. While the land use is a little bit different for what was currently shown there as currently undeveloped, it isn't generally in conformance with the adopted area plan and makes a more realistic alignment of those proposed land uses. Oops, excuse me. So a lot of the kind of criteria kind of touches on a little bit of a built environment characteristics that will come with a future application. Whenever the proposed developments for either the single family residential or proposal for the R-1.5 district will come forward, a little more detailed analysis will be conducted as far as utilities, infrastructure, and the conformance to the adopted boulevard and parkway standards of the city. So with that, we conclude my presentation. City staff does recommend approval of the area plan amendment and rezoning without conditions.
Okay, any questions from the commission to staff?
So quick question. So they're essentially expanding the mixed use to include a little bit more to the east, correct?
A little bit more to the east and a little bit further and removing some from the south. It's not a perfect comparison because we don't have acreages for those alignments in the area plan. Those kind of precise acreages are never done in the area plans, but based on the boundary alignments, it is kind of more commensurate with the natural environment.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, let's go ahead and open it up for the applicant.
Mr. Chair, I promoted Sam Aylett a few moments ago.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Good morning, Sam. How are you?
Great. Good morning. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, my name is Sam Aylett with Aylett Survey Company at 201 Northwest 72nd Street. With me today is Zachary Brinker, also with Aylett Survey Company, and Mr. Joseph Mendocina, the owner of the property at 5225 Northeast Shoto. First, I'd like to thank Chris for a fine job he did explaining the different zonings and why there are 3 different zonings. I think that was very well explained. Today, we are here to ask for approval of case number 2020-00163 and case number 000149. We are also here to answer any questions if there are any. So at this time, I would just ask for approval, and if anybody has any questions, we would be happy to try to answer them for you.
Okay, thank you. Commission, do you have any questions for the applicant about this project?
Out of curiosity, just because you have the owner with you, do you want to speak at all to what the plans are? Should this be approved?
At this time, we've looked at some things, primarily single family residential, larger homes in the R10 area, regular type homes in the R7 that surround the area. The R1.5, we've looked at single family, we've looked at patio homes. Just for Mr. Mendocina, Mr. Mendocina has no desire to develop this property himself. Therefore, at this time, we really don't have any plans in place with the Blue Line stream, the floodplain, the required stream buffers, the BMP requirements. Only about 60% of this land is going to be usable. So whatever is done, there's going to have to be a lot of studies and a lot of work done before anyone can actually come up with a plan as to what will be built on the property. But I can assure you whatever is done will be in compliance with all the rules, regulations of the city of Kansas City, Missouri.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
I just wanted to make sure I understand for the zoning that's R1.5. Our understanding is that that complies to the area plan and that it's a mixed use community. But if they decide to do single family because that's what the market leans toward, they have the prerogative to do that without coming back to us, or am I misunderstanding?
No, it's a good question. The R1.5 district does allow what they call in-purpose solo buildings. So basically a single family property would be permissible. I think staff would probably like to encourage us something a little bit more denser than that. It doesn't have to be anything to the scale of downtown. That'd be a little extreme. But something of a little more of a development node, which is kind of the intent, especially when you have a future extension of Northeast 96th Street, which could be a parkway or boulevard itself. Really kind of lends itself to a little bit more heavy in the sense of like more dense and possibly some very light commercial uses.
Okay, any other questions? All right, well, let's go ahead and open it up for public testimony. Joe, has anybody raised their hand to speak about docket items 5.1 and 5.2?
Mr. Chair, no one is raising their hand.
Okay. We'll go ahead and close public testimony. So applicant, anything else you'd like to add before we make a vote?
No, I'd just like to thank everybody for running the city in such a good fashion during this pandemic. I know it's not easy on everybody, and we'd just like to thank you all for your hard work.
Thank you. Well, that's all attributed to good staff and leadership that we have. All right, so if there's nothing else, I'll take a motion on this docket items.
Move to approve docket items number 5.1 and 5.2.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, so I've got a motion and a second. Lisa, do you mind taking roll call, please, on this motion?
Commissioner Allender,
Aye.
Baker,
Aye.
Beasley,
Aye.
Crowell,
Aye.
Enders,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
Rojas,
Aye.
and Sadowski.
Aye.
Okay, it looks like the motion passes for approval of the project. Thank you for bringing it in and good luck with the project.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's move right along. Looks like we're going to docket item number 15. Is that right?
Right.
All right.
Docket item 15 is case number CPC 2020-00189. A request to approve a council-approved sign plan on about 1.6 acres in District DC-15 located at 1100 Main Street to allow for the installation of exterior signage on existing monument structures along Main Street and Baltimore Avenue. Zach Nelson is the staff planner.
Morning, Zach Nelson, city planning staff. This next case is located within the downtown loop. And as Joe mentioned, this is a request for a council-approved signage plan. So a little more specifically, the subject site is located in between 11th Street and 12th Street, bordered by Baltimore Avenue to the west and Main Street to the east. It's currently zoned DC 15. And just a recap of the intent for council-approved signage plans. The intent is really to create a consistent and unified architectural statement and to allow for flexibility in terms of size, height, duration, number, and type of allowed signs for larger developments specifically. So this is the City Center Square site downtown. So the first area that we're going to be looking at in terms of the signage that's proposed is in this northeast corner on the edge of 11th and Main Street. And in terms of context, it's very visible. It's a very visible corner, and it obviously borders along the streetcar line as well. So this is looking west at the site. Again, this is the City Center Square. There's multiple tenants on the site currently. But more specifically, we're going to be looking at this corner here. There is some existing signage, and this gives a little bit better perspective. This slide here, there's signage on both sides. And so the applicant is looking to replace this signage here. So this first sign that's proposed is kind of the south-facing part of that monument sign. This is about 12 feet tall, and the applicant intends to replace it with this light well signage here, which will be the new manager of the site with tenants below. And this signage will be internally lit, will be acrylic letter forms, and really it's intended to better reflect the current tenants and also just to be more visible overall. So the next sign is just on this side of the same area we were just looking at. Again, similar signage overall, light well, and then the tenants will be to the east of that as well. So it will be more visible, and as I mentioned, it will be internally lit, so it'll be much easier to see at night as well. And then there's a third signage proposed, and this is on the southwest corner along Baltimore Avenue. So this is the existing area that I'm looking at here. This is looking generally southbound from Baltimore Avenue. It's blank currently. The applicant, again, just intends to provide some signage reflecting the current tenants at the site. So overall, I won't go through all the criteria, but staff has reviewed all of the council-approved signage plan criteria and believes that it complies with all of the necessary criteria. Staff believes that it will enhance the signage overall, as well as the site. It'll make it easier to recognize the current tenants. It's not intended or anticipated to create any sort of safety issues or any concerns or inconvenience to nearby properties. No banner signs are requested, and staff believes that it fits with the character of the area overall. And so with that, staff recommends approval without conditions. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the commission to staff?
This is Commissioner Beasley. I just had something come to mind. This is a static sign. It's not going to be one that is, what do they call it? The motion sign that changes what it's reading.
Yeah,
It's going to be
digital.
static. Yeah, it's going to be just a static sign.
Yes, it'll be static. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Could you explain why BZA denied it and then what happens if we approve it? I mean, I see no problems with it, but I was just curious about the process.
Yeah, just a moment. Let me pull up that staff report real quick. Yeah, I didn't mention that, but I mentioned in the history within the staff report itself that this went to BZA twice, back in 2005 and 2007, and they requested variances to the maximum sign, to the maximum number of projecting wall signs, and they were denied both times. And so I think that is partially why the applicant has chosen to move forward this time with a council approved signage plan, because previously variances, they only go to the Board of Zoning Adjustment, and it requires a pretty significant hardship in order to be approved. And so this council approved signage plan, really the intent is to allow more flexibility. And I think that is part of the reason for this being before you today. It's a little bit more flexible, and it doesn't go to the Board of Zoning Adjustment. It'll go to council after this for final approval.
And sorry for my poor understanding of this, but so then council approved signage, is that simply because it's easier to accommodate things? And we then have the knowledge that council's kind of approved these new parameters without having to rewrite or change the existing rules, regulations, charter, whatever it might be that dictates.
Well, I think the intent overall is not for it to be easier necessarily. I would just say that this signage plan the intent is really to create more consistent signage, and it's intended for developments overall instead of just one tenant or one wall sign, something like that. And so I think that's the intent. I'm not sure if that answered your question or not.
I think so. I mean, typically, oh, go ahead.
This is Joe. I was going to say, yeah, I mean, Zach really hit the nail on the head. There's only a few areas in the city that are really eligible for a council approved sign plan, and the downtown loop is one of them. And that's in part because there's a lot of elements of the rest of the sign code that you just couldn't meet due to the context of properties within the downtown loop. For example, monument signs everywhere else in the city have to be set back 10 feet from a property line. Well, in most cases in the downtown loop, you just can't do that. So part of the reason certain areas were given this additional flexibility is because of the unique characteristics of the location. And it also, as Zach stated, often they're packages of signs that would need multiple variances if it weren't for this option of a council approved sign plan.
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions from the commission to staff? Seeing none, let's go ahead and welcome the applicant.
Mr. Chair, I'm looking for the applicant. No one's raised their hand. I don't know if it's
the applicant is
Shelley.
Is Ron Bowen, I believe.
Okay. I promoted them.
Okay. Mr. Bowen and then Ms. Rosedall, if you don't mind stating your names and addresses for the record, that'd be great.
Hi, my name is Ron Bowen. I'm with Star Signs. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you.
And can I have your address for the record, please?
I'm at 801 East 9th Street in Lawrence, Kansas.
All right. All right, there's anything you'd like to add for this docket, for this case?
No, sir. I didn't think I needed to be on, but you brought my name in, so I was the one that was the applicant as representing for the client.
Okay, yeah, we always kind of like to hear from the applicant to make sure that they're on board with the project and everything that's stated within the case itself. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, let's go ahead and open it up for public testimony.
Mr. Chair, no one's raising their hand.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close public testimony at this time. So applicant, if there's nothing else you'd like to state, we'll go ahead and go into discussion and a motion. I'll go ahead and take a motion.
Move to approve docket item number 15 with conditions.
Okay, so we've got a motion and a second. Lisa, do you mind taking a roll call, please? Doesn't look like, Frank, I'm sorry, it doesn't look like there's any conditions on this case.
Commissioner Allender,
Aye.
Baker,
Aye.
Beasley,
Aye.
Crowe,
Aye.
Enders,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
Rojas,
Aye.
and Sadowski.
Aye.
Okay, it looks like motion passes 8-0. Good luck with your project. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. All right, Joe, looks like we're moving right along here. Docket item 16.
Docket item 16 is case CPC 2020-00179. The request to approve the Habitat for Humanity scattered site LCRA area on about 4.5 acres in districts B1-1 and R1-5 for the area generally bound by 21st Street on the north, 26th Street on the south, Garfield Avenue on the west, and Wabash Avenue on the east. Zach Nelson is the staff planner.
All right, thank you. This next case is a request for a tax incentive plan for the Habitat for Humanity Scattered Site 2 LCRA plan. This was submitted by the EDC, and this site is located, as it sounds, it's a scattered site located within the Wendell Phillips neighborhood, generally located east of Paseo and generally west of Prospect Avenue. So a little more specifically, as you can see, the site is very scattered, and it generally ranges from approximately 22nd Street all the way down to 26th Street, and then west to Garfield Avenue and east to approximately Wabash Avenue. And in total, there are 41 separate parcels that are included in this LCRA plan. And the applicant is seeking a finding of blight in order to seek tax incentives, tax abatement for this project. And so I'll be very brief with this presentation, but there was no site plan included with this. This is just a tax incentive plan at this time. So there won't be any site plan to review. And then generally this project, some of the objectives are to stimulate private investment within this area, both in terms of rehabilitation and exterior maintenance of single-family homes, to stimulate private investment in the construction of new single-family homes in this area. There are several lots within this area that are undeveloped or in disrepair. It's intended to promote neighborhood stabilization, The intent is also to increase the supply of affordable housing for low-income families, and finally to assist low-income homeowners to maintain affordability. Again, this is intended for tax abatement, and the EDC staff has completed a blight study back in October of last year. Staff doesn't make a recommendation on the finding of blight, and therefore, since there is no site plan or any other plans at this time, staff makes no recommendation. That concludes my presentation, and I believe Bob Long with EDC is on as well, and he could probably answer more of your questions in terms of the blight itself. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions for staff? Okay, Mr. Long, welcome. Long time no
Good
see.
afternoon. Well, not quite afternoon yet. Good morning. Bob Long here with the Economic Development Corporation on behalf of the Land Clearance for Redevelopment Authority today. And let's see now. I'm going to share my screen, although I think you all probably have that. So this is the proposed Habitat for Humanity Scattered Site 2 Urban Renewal Plan. Generally, it's about 1.5 miles southeast of downtown. It's south of the historic 18th and Vine District in the Wendell Phillips neighborhood. There are a total of 41 parcels in this proposed scattered site plan. The EDC and the LCRA are acting on behalf of Habitat for Humanity for this plan. We had a previous scattered site urban renewal plan for Habitat that was approved in 2009. Habitat for Humanity has worked closely with the Land Bank, the Homesteading Authority, Urban Neighborhood Initiative, and Wendell Phillips Neighborhood Association on this project. There's 41 parcels involved, but it will result in a total of 30 affordable single-family homes. A number of these parcels are pretty small, and they'll be combining a number of them to create a single buildable parcel. Habitat homeowners will benefit from 10 years of 100% tax abatement from this project. And we'll go through a few of these slides regarding blight conditions. On the left-hand side, you can see a couple of these lots where there's notable depressions result that from the demolitions and the broken and missing sidewalks in places. On the right hand, you can see the deteriorating retaining wall and stairs, and there's an abundance of overgrown brush and trees. There are actually 2 existing houses contained within this plan. The one on the left is one of those houses. As you can see, it's got broken and boarded windows, deteriorating roof, soffits, and eaves. It's generally kind of rough shape, but not bad enough to be demolished. The picture on the right shows one of the lots that a number of these lots had recently been cleared by the city as in preparation for this project. But again, you can see the broken sidewalks and the overgrown brush, particularly along the perimeter of these lots. So LCRA staff believe that blighting conditions exist. As noted, some parcels will be combined to produce buildable lots. Only the specific properties included within the proposed urban renewal plan will be eligible for the LCRA tax abatement. This plan was approved by the LCRA at their December meeting, and they also approved a finding of blight. So we are recommending that you approve a finding of blight and approve the proposed urban renewal plan as well. And I'd be glad to answer any questions. I believe we may also have representatives of Habitat available to answer any questions as well.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the commission to the applicant?
Yes, this is Commissioner Beasley. I have a couple for Mr. Long. I think you did answer one that I had. I had seen in the documents that the number of years were stated as 25% and 75%, but it didn't say for how many years, but just now you said there would be a 10-year tax abatement.
Yes, under the LCRA, under property tax abatements cannot exceed 10 years without going through a sale leaseback kind of a situation, which generally doesn't take place for single family homes because it's too expensive a process. So these homeowners would be eligible for a 10-year tax abatement.
And then you'd also stated when you had the house on, I think it was 24th Terrace, that White House, that you said it's in bad shape, but not bad enough to be demolished. So you will rehab that house?
That house will be one of the two houses that will be renovated as part of this plan.
That was my other question, if this would all be new construction or if there was indeed some houses to be rehabbed. So I'm glad to hear that as well.
Yeah.
And then just a clarification, in part of what you said you were looking for investors to come into the area, but these lots that we're looking at are only for habitat development, or would they be provided for investors to come in and do some work as well?
This plan is basically intended only for habitats use.
Just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that language is probably some boilerplate language in our urban renewal plans, and probably should have been specifically modified to reflect that habitat homeowners would be the ones intended to benefit from this plan.
Can you explain that just a little bit, Mr. Long? So that means Habitat will actually administer construction or reconstruction or remodeling of these facilities, as well as selling them or leasing them out to residents? Is that the way I understand that?
Well, the typical process, I believe, would be Habitat would work with their selected homeowners who would invest a considerable amount of sweat equity into helping build their own homes or renovate their own homes. The house would be either renovated or built, and then in essence get sold to the selected Habitat homeowner, and the homeowner would benefit from the 10 years of tax abatement. And in this case, since there's going to be 30 homes total, 28 of which would be new construction, they kind of are like the best example of how effective a tax abatement would be, because they're going to be assessed on the value of the vacant lot. So those homeowners would be paying taxes on the value of the lot for 10 years and not on, so they wouldn't be paying any taxes on the value of the house that was built or renovated there.
Okay, so the lots in question as part of this project, they are vacant lots, or
all
just
but
the
two of them?
All but two are vacant? Okay.
Yep.
So they identify potential homeowners that could buy a parcel, so to speak, help them build the home, and then move them in?
Yes, and I believe that they, Habitat, I think they have at least one representative who may be available. But I believe that they already have a wait list for potential homeowners here.
Okay. Is there kind of what what's the price range for homes? Do you know that? Kind of what they're thinking in this area?
You know, I would have to defer to Habitat for that.
Okay. All right. Maybe they're available to also speak, and then if I could ask if you could maybe stop sharing your screen so we could see everybody.
Yep, there you go.
Oh, there. Yeah. Is there an applicant from Habitat for Humanity available?
Mr. Chair, we have Lindsay Hicks and Kylie Navarro that I'm promoting.
Okay.
Good morning. This is Lindsay Hicks with Habitat for Humanity. Just wanted to help Bob out. Bob did a great job sharing our presentation with you all. To answer the questions that you had, Habitat for Humanity, we actually sell our homes to our homeowners. We operate a $13 million loan portfolio in-house. And so the affordability factor is that we can sell them the homes at a 0% interest mortgage to help with the affordability factor. So that's how we operate with that. In terms of the construction process, we'll be building 3, 4, 5-bedroom homes, depending on the needs of the homeowners. And the cost of construction right now is ranging anywhere from $140,000 to $160,000, depending on that new construction plan that is feasible for the family. I'm happy to answer any additional questions you all might have.
All right, thank you.
It's Commissioner Allender here. Can you just give me again, did I hear a 5-year build out for the 31 properties? Was that correct? What's the timeline for the 31 properties to be built out?
Yes, we're looking at a 3 to 5 year build out. And as Bob stated, we do have homeowners identified for almost all of these properties.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Welcome.
I have a
Any
few
other questions from the commission? There you go.
Yeah. So Bob, I just had a question on why the scattered sites approach versus just making a boundary line and all the parcels, even some of the neighboring properties being part of that.
Yeah, I kind of anticipated that. The scattered site plan isn't something we typically use, but because these properties were all going to be habitat houses, we wanted to target this specifically for those homeowners. And at the same time, if we were to draw a larger boundary for an urban renewal area, there are some existing urban renewal areas in this area. So we would either need to work around those existing urban renewal areas or overlap them and then potentially collapse those old overlapped urban renewal areas. That becomes a little bit more of an issue because then we have to hire out for the blight study for that kind of an urban renewal plan. But with this scattered site plan, I was able to do the blight study at no additional cost to Habitat. In fact, the EDC and the LCRA paid for the cost of the urban renewal plan themselves on Habitat's behalf.
And
there has been some discussion about the possibility of creating a larger urban renewal plan for the Wendell Phillips neighborhood. I don't know what kind of timing that might have. And there are some of those operational issues that will need to be discussed when we get into those discussions soon, I hope.
And I wondered about the sites in terms of the vacant sites that have been demolished. Have they been demolished recently, or my question goes to, are you dealing with sites where you have a lot of debris underground in the basements that you're having?
I think you're gonna find a mixture. Some of these lots have been were demolished some time ago. And like that picture that showed the two lots with the depressions, I suspect that there's basements and debris there. We'll find out. But many of the lots, the city has recently, like within the past year or two, cleared many of those lots of badly deteriorated single-family homes. I imagine a significant number of those homes may have been on the dangerous buildings list.
And then my last question was, are you working with the Wendell Phillips neighborhood or UNI or anyone else as far as partnerships?
I will defer to Lindsay on that one.
Yes, this whole entire project is in partnership with the Urban Neighborhood Initiative and with the Neighborhood Association, as well as many other partners that have financially supported us. So of course, we absolutely are working in partnership, knowing that we can create bigger impact in doing so.
I just have a statement. One, I'm super excited about this project. I volunteered before with Habitat for Humanity in Mannheim when they built some single family homes. I appreciate the affordability and you guys being in this neighborhood because as you know, many of the homes just going a few blocks west are just out of cost for families. The Wendell Phillips School, when you and I came in, they actually moved that school to Phillips at Attucks, which is right there on 23rd and Prospect. And so many of those families, right, that will be having kids will probably attend that school. It's not too far. They've had some major infrastructure improvements in terms of bike lanes and just sidewalks. I believe I might have to recuse myself from this because I also am on the board of UNI, but I just am excited to see that there's some affordability coming back into the neighborhood where if you go a few blocks, west, you get into Beacon Hill, which has $400,000 or $500,000, $1 million homes, right? So love to see that we're creating mixed income neighborhoods.
I had actually another question for Habitat. Are you guys looking at any multifamily construction in Kansas City? I know that's rare, but has been done with other Habitat cities.
Yeah, that's a great question. Several of our other Habitat affiliates are doing multifamily construction, and it is something that we certainly are talking about. And what does that look like? Is it going to happen within the next year or two? No, but we're looking at a 5-year projection for what multifamily could look like as we continue to have such a tremendous increased need for our services.
This is Commissioner Beasley. I'd like to just ask, with these new homes, will they have garages?
That depends on the plan that is selected by the homeowner and the plan that we agreed upon, based on the income level and what it is that we can afford. But some of them, yes, will.
Okay, because I was saying typically they didn't have garages. They may have a carport, but I'm thinking of some of the earlier models that Habitat had done. So I was just trying to see what they were doing now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Maybe to that point, I know some of the newer homes that have been done, not necessarily by Habitat, because of that modern convenience of adding like a 2-car garage, you have a totally different typology than you would in the historic neighborhoods. It becomes like all garage and just a small bit of house behind. So I think to Commissioner Beasley's point, I think making that fit into the context. I know some of the homes more in Monarch Manor attempted to do that, and but some are less successful.
Okay, any other questions? All right, seeing none, Joe, can we open it up to public testimony, please?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I don't see anyone raising their hand on this one.
Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and close public testimony. So applicant, is there anything else you'd like to add before we go into discussion and a vote on this?
I don't believe so.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the presentation and the project. I'm pretty excited about it myself.
One quick follow-up.
Go ahead.
How soon can we start?
Yesterday, as far as habitat's concerned, right?
All right, that's what I wanted to hear. Okay.
Okay.
We're ready to get those foundations dug up, as the homeowners are as well. They've been patiently waiting to move this project forward.
Okay, so Commissioner Beasley, would you like to make a motion?
Sure will. I would like to recommend case number CPC 2020000179 be approved as stated.
Yeah, you gotta make, if you don't mind, make your motion state that you find the finding
Blight
of blight.
study. I need to add that to it.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
would like to approve case CPC 2020000179, approving the findings of blight for this development as stated.
Okay, very good. I have a motion. I have a second.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Lisa, do you mind taking roll call, please?
Commissioner Allender,
Aye.
Baker,
Aye.
Beasley,
Aye.
Corral,
Aye.
Enders,
Aye.
Rojas,
Aye.
and Sadowski.
Aye.
Okay, looks like the motion passes 8-0. Thank you again for bringing the project in and look forward to seeing it come together. Good luck with it.
Thank you very much.
Yep. All right, so that takes us through all the cases, and now we're on to docket item number 20. And this is going to be a little discussion on our comprehensive plan. We've been talking about this for a while now, and I've asked Director Williams to come in and talk through this because we're trying to get some involvement from the commission. And also Bill Williams, he's available, and Kyle Elliott is available to talk through this. We've already got a couple of us assigned and will be a part of the comprehensive plan. Myself and Bruce and Ashley. What we're looking at, there's a couple other items or places we'd like to plug in some commissioners. And so we wanted to give a presentation as to where we're at and what's going on and what's available so you guys can think about it and see if that's something you want to do. So I guess we'll take it from there. Is that Director Williams, you want to speak first?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. Commissioners, belated Happy New Year. Jeffrey Williams, Director of City Planning and Development. The chair did a great job at introducing members of the team that you'll hear from today, with the exception of Morgan Pemberton. She is a planner in the Long Range Planning and Preservation Division. That's where Gerald Williams is located, and that's the division that Kyle Elliott is the lead on. So we want to take a few minutes to update you about activities related to the Spirit Playbook, talk about the next stage of process that looks at public engagement around particular topics that would be covered in the comprehensive plan update. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Gerald. I think between Gerald, Morgan, and I, we'll try to keep it to about a 10-minute or so presentation and leave lots of time for questions. So with that, Gerald and Morgan, I turn it over to you.
Morgan, my apologies for not introducing you sooner.
I'm sorry, I was muted the whole time. You'd think by now I'd have that under control. So anyhow, so thank you for having us this morning. I'm just going to give a quick overview of kind of where we're at, where we've been a little bit. Jeff's going to talk through some of our approach for the committees that we've talked about, and Morgan's going to talk about our public engagement strategies. Just real quick, for those of you who aren't familiar, this slide shows you our website, which is a fairly robust kind of headquarters, if you will, for all of our virtual engagement activities. We've got all kinds of polls and questionnaires and forums and opportunities to share your perspective in video format and other things. Also, there's still a lot of things to do there. There's a landing page there for those who haven't been there before and are kind of lost or overwhelmed by the amount of things you can do. There's a place you can go to guide you through how to start, where to go first, what to do. That kind of walks you through it step by step as well. So we've had really good engagement on that site. We've kind of been forced, obviously, into this virtual only format due to the pandemic. We hope to be moving into in-person meetings as soon as possible, but obviously that's delayed, somewhat indefinitely. So anyway, just encourage everyone to go to playbook.kcmo.gov, register. It is a very brief registration process, just a minimal amount of information like your email so that we can contact you again about future polls, future events, future online meetings and things of that nature. So there's also a place there where you can sign up or indicate interest in participating in some of the committees and work teams that we'll have beginning this spring. So the KC Spirit Playbook it will be the Kansas City's new comprehensive plan. Our current comprehensive plan is the Focus Kansas City Plan. It was adopted in 1997. So these comprehensive plans typically run on like a 20-year time horizon, and so we're just a little bit beyond where we would normally be updating our comprehensive plan. We have reviewed the Focus plan, and we were pleased to see that many of the strategies that are in that plan are still relevant today. We've done a fairly thorough analysis of it to see what we can carry forward into the new plan. Thinking about what issues we're facing today that we weren't facing in 1997 that we're going to need new and fresh strategies for as well. But basically the comprehensive plan is the plan to guide the physical development of our city for the next 20 years or so. It'll be kind of reactive and proactive. We hope to leave mostly proactive, but obviously a lot of the work that the City Plan Commission does is evaluating proposals that come in and determining whether they're good for the city moving forward. And the comprehensive plan is one of those tools that you use to help evaluate those proposals. We think it will also have a fairly robust set of proactive strategies as well. So instead of these will be initiatives that the city can take on without having to wait for things to come in proposal format to the city. We've done a lot of citywide planning since the Focus Plan was done. We don't feel like we need to start from scratch. The Focus Plan, when it was done, didn't have this advantage. There wasn't a whole lot of citywide planning that had been done. Since then, we have done a lot of it. And we've done a lot of regional planning as well. So our intent is to fold in as much of those plans that are still relevant as we can without having to redo or reinvent things that have already been invented. So we are in the process now of creating a massive database of all the recommendations of all the plans you see depicted here, as well as all of these 18 area plans that we've been working on since 2007 as well. So all of this information won't go to waste. We're going to use the information that the public spent so much time helping us to create in the new comprehensive plan. And again, we just don't plan on starting from scratch here, but we do plan on identifying strategies for updating all of these citywide planning documents, all of these area plans. How can we update these moving forward to make them better? There may be areas that those plans are missing, gaps, things like that. But essentially the comp plan will function as a way to pull all of these plans together and ensure that they're moving forward together towards a common vision and not contradicting each other and things of that nature. Essentially, this is our schedule. We have been doing a lot of listening for the last 6 months or so, and we've been asking big questions about big issues. And so we've been inventorying the big issues that people have. We've been doing a lot of listening, and we are ready now to summarize what we've heard and then to begin to deep dive into some specific topics that Mr. Williams will be walking you through, some of the work teams and committees that we're thinking of forming in the next months to deal with those specific issues. So we'll always be in listening mode, but we're kind of moving out of a listening only mode into more of a strategies and recommendations mode in the next couple of months. Our end goal is to complete the plan by August of 2022, and we'll hopefully begin drafting that document in late 21. And with that, I'll hand it over to Jeff Williams.
Thank you, Gerald. Understanding how the new comprehensive plan will be structured is really important. There are 3 considerations that we have had as a group that have evolved over time as we've started about updating the plan. I think the first is looking towards your upper left portion of the screen, topics. What topics are going to be covered within the updated comprehensive plan? And the topics that you would find in the plan are those things that you found within focus, and those things that give direction as it relates to land use, as it gives city direction in terms of infrastructure supporting land use, diving a little bit more specifically into types of land uses, guidance around physical development, obviously, housing, commercial development, what happens with the open spaces that connect physical development and all of the infrastructure that connects different pieces. So what you find, and to Gerald's point earlier, we have a really good foundation from focus to build upon. Now there'll be some topics or areas, as we were talking about, just the difference in how the world has evolved from 1997 to today. They're just topics and considerations in comprehensive planning that were just not stated in a certain way. Thoughts about ecology today are now talk about as it relates to sustainability. Thoughts about looking at urban infill development kind of morphed in many ways into understanding connectivity through transit and transit-oriented development. So the topic list grows, but I'll tell you, as we were considering that topic list, there were certain topics that people brought up, and I'll say one of those topics that's very top of mind is looking at the whole thought about equity and where does that happen? Is that a topic? And then the real understanding there, certain things have been identified as plan topics really move to a different level. They're almost more vetting considerations. So this will not be a plan that has a section separately focused in on the idea of equity. Equity is something that should be understood across all of the recommendations as you find it in this plan. And as you look at equity, I think you have other considerations. We were calling them lenses. They're shown here in the upper right as value systems. That these are the things we need to consider for all the recommendations that the plan would be making. And it's not only about equity, it's about the idea of sustainability. It's the idea of community wealth building. So how does this plan craft, or the process to create the plan, how do those recommendations get crafted? And not only topics are organized, but through what value systems would be evaluating those plans and their consideration. The third circle you're seeing there at the bottom of the screen is about community context. It's important for the plan to be very well laid out and consideration of all the host of topics that relate to physical development, and understanding that there are some kind of community understood derived value systems to judge the inclusion of those topics. But then what about context? Kansas City is amazing in that within our 300 plus square miles, we have all kinds of context. We have all types of opportunities for reinvestment. Everything from greenfield development, brownfield development, urban infill, and then it's understanding the natural resources, associated stream bank development, other kinds of things. What are all these different contexts we have that are all across the city? So as opposed to looking at a plan that's going to have this is the recommendation for a particular geography, this is a plan that will have recommendations for a particular context. And it's really this blend of topics and value systems and context, that will make the playbook and the plan update be a very effective tool, in particular for what you all consider as commissioners. So it really is understanding of best practice, understanding where that gets applied, and understanding what kind of broader value considerations there are on a citywide perspective. That's the type of plan that, with your help, we'll be producing for Kansas City to really be highly beneficial as we grow over the course of an entire generation. So, Bo, I think it goes back to you. And really, at the end of the day, I think it just is the idea of about this really being, I mean, that's how we are deeming human-centered planning. But I think at this point, it's Bo and Morgan to talk about public engagement and outreach.
Right.
Ready? So I'll give a quick rundown of what staff has been up to since May of last year when we launched the website. We have had more than 17,000 visits to the site. We've got over 1,000 people registered with the website, and about 600 to 700 who are actively, regularly participating. We've done thousands of emails to all of our division contacts, department contacts, local neighborhood groups, neighborhood leaders, a lot of the people that our division works with on a regular basis. They have been really instrumental in helping us to get the word out about the comprehensive plan update and explaining about how people can get involved. A couple of the things that we've done, we held an Ask a Planner hour on Twitter to see if there was some interest from the Twitter sphere on having a conversation about the comprehensive plan. And we also held a virtual town hall, of which there was I think just short of about 100 people attended that. We had some breakout rooms where there was some more in-depth discussions about the general comprehensive plan topics that we're looking at. We anticipate that we're going to be holding some more of those online events in the future as we look towards some work groups and other things that we're going to be doing this year. We ran some Facebook ads and some Google ads to see if we could increase the number of eyes that we were virtually getting on the notices that we were sending out. We have also done dozens of presentations such as this one to local neighborhood groups. All of them have been virtual so far, and we anticipate that that's going to continue into the next several months at least. We've done over 60 of those, and over 1,300 people have been in attendance at those virtual meetings. So we've gotten some good communication with the public through that format. We've done some testing of some ideas that we had about what we could use the city's Facebook and Instagram story functions for to try and spread the word about the plan. We've got a couple more ideas for that we're going to be rolling out this year. And also driving around town, you may have seen some of our billboards and our bus ads that have been out and about in the last several months. And in addition, we've done clips for the Channel 2 and the weekly report that the city does. We had some water bill inserts included with all of the mailed water bills in November, and we're anticipating doing that again sometime in the spring. And then in general, our planners have, while we're out and about in the city, just tried to distribute some posters and flyers, asking local businesses if they wouldn't mind displaying them in their window, things like that. And Mr. Williams has also done a couple of interviews with some local TV and radio programming. So we're hoping to do some more of that this year as well. Let's go to the next one. So in addition to everything staff has done so far, we have just brought on Parson and Associates as our to help us with our public engagement and to try and make it more robust and more well-rounded. Staff's attempts, we have seen some pretty good success with getting the word out to the community, but Parson and Associates is going to be putting together a public engagement plan that will evaluate what staff has done so far and determine what we can take forward, what is really effective. And then they're also going to be helping us with some boots on the ground and also new ideas about different ways that we can engage with the public. So we're really excited about that. We anticipate that the public engagement plan will be completed in the next couple of weeks and that we will be able to hit the ground running with that as soon as possible. The plan itself, it's also going to be looking at ways to overcome language barriers, specifically the digital divide issues that we're facing with everyone being primarily online and existing in the virtual world these days. And we're asking them to also, try and think of ways that we can be out with the public safely, if that is an available option, and then other ways virtually that we continue to reach out to people. And that is pretty much where we're at with the public engagement portion.
Thanks, Morgan. I'll pick it up again. So as we talk about public engagement and getting more public input, a lot of that input has been really one-on-one. We've now moved to the stage to really start bringing groups of people together to be able to put them in a position to be able to vet some of the recommendations and items to be included within the plan. And we wanted to share this structure with you, and you can see the diagram on the right, the text on the left. I'll just hit some highlights. That empowerment committee, that's the central committee. Others might call it a steering committee, but very deliberately named this the empowerment committee, because the goal of this plan is that it needs to be a document that empowers individuals as they seek to do development work here, or they live here, or their experience in Kansas City is to empower them individually. And so it's really about empowerment and just not about broader power systems. So empowerment committee, and that's essential, and there'll be a slide that gets into more detail about that. But supporting the empowerment committee, and I think that's the place where the overall plan format will get vetted. It's a place where there'll be the discussion of how our 18 area plans meshing together, integrating with each other. Do we need to look at boundary changes there? And when the circle, you see the detail of folks that would serve on that group. But satelliting around that committee are 4 different work teams. And those work teams are themed upon elements of the plan itself. So mobility, livability, visibility, and serviceability. For this group, I know the mobility pieces make sense. It's the work things, all things transportation, as it says. We have a grant that we received through the Mark Planning Sustainable Places program. We have a transportation consultant will come on board. And so all those elements would flow through that work and get guided and vetted through the mobility work group. Livability, neighborhoods, housing, affordability, some of the core documents there, the city's housing plan, other pieces. That's where those types of considerations or vetting of recommendations to plan that relate to livability, that's where those conversations would happen and then get reported back to the empowerment committee and then flow back and forth. Same thing with visibility. This one may sound a little bit differently, but a lot of it is about urban design. It's about open public space. It's about public spaces, open spaces, anything that's visible. It's the idea of not only making recommendations about the types of things that should be considered for redevelopment or their location or impact, but assuring that we have high quality in everything we're doing as it relates to the built environment. Finally, the last is serviceability. And that is the idea that there needs to be an understanding of existing infrastructure, leveraging it, a very clear direction about how that system might grow out, and understanding as that system grows, our ability and our strategies to be able to maintain that type of infrastructure, and I think maintain any other city services that need to support physical development over the next 20 years. Mobility, livability, visibility, serviceability. Supportive of the overall empowerment committee. And we look to be able to get that empowerment committee going for first meeting sometime in the next month. And then you're seeing on the screen here, just the work teams and the approaches here. 2 phases. I think we're going to roll out the probably the mobility group earlier because we have some grant dollars associated with that. Visibility may roll out as well. You're seeing about the idea about 4 meeting cycles and seeing a time frame that really these work teams and this committee, you know, it's engagement throughout most portions of 2021. That's the idea. And Bo, maybe go to the next slide, if you wouldn't mind, or Morgan. And understanding who would be members of that empowerment committee and some of the structure we have. So we're looking at a structure of about 20 people or so. And you're seeing at the bottom of the screen, those different stakeholder groups that would have a representative on this empowerment committee. And we looked as a group to make some recommendations for participation. Ultimately, this is getting guidance through and support and issuance of the mayor's office, but really looking to balance viewpoints and perspectives and interest as folks were identified for the committee structure. As this relates to the City Plan Commission, you know, we see the chair as being a member of the Empowerment Committee, and then members, and then you as individual commissioners being a member of the 4 work teams. I think one of the considerations that we have is that the idea that knowing that you would be participating in numbers that don't open things up to public meeting requirements and notice requirements, because we would be assembling a quorum of the committee. This is the overall framework that we put together. We really look forward to, if you hear a little plea in there, really need your participation in these work teams. At the end of the day, this becomes a manual for development over the next 20 years. And it's something that certainly will be a reference point, not only for staff, but obviously for you as commissioners, as you evaluate cases presented to you. So with that, I will pause, and I will thank the chair and members of the committee for the opportunity to sit down to talk about this. Each of these conversations, the framework gets more and more robust and better understood, and better really aligned with our need to appropriately vet development here in Kansas City. So that's the end of our presentation. Please feel free, Mr. Chair, if time questions by you or by your fellow commissioners.
Yeah, you bet. Hey, thank you for the presentation. It's obviously there's a lot of work being done as part of preparing this, and all of you are doing a great job with this and spending the time that needs to be. It's a tough document to prepare, because you're looking 20 years, 25 years in advance, especially at things that we may not know exist at this point in time. But thank you for doing that. What I wanted to make sure that we do as part of this is to give everybody on the commission an opportunity to see kind of the backbone of the preparation of the comprehensive plan and some of these groups that are being formed. I've kind of got an idea of folks that I would like to participate on each of the groups, and those being the empowerment, comprehensive plan, serviceability, visibility, public spaces, and the livability in neighborhoods. But I also wanted to make sure that all of you have an opportunity to think about this and to see if it's something you also want to participate in and take part of. Remember, we can only keep up to three maximum for each of the different places. I'm already going to be a part of the empowerment committee. I think we've identified Bruce as being a part of the serviceability, and Ashley as part of the visibility in public spaces. And both of those, Ashley and Bruce, have also asked if they could be a part of the empowerment as well. But again, I'd like to hear from everybody, and it doesn't have to be right now. Certainly give me a call, or we can talk about that offline at some point, and then try to make some decisions on where we want to put these committees together, and then have it ready, I would say, so I can make a presentation to Director Williams, where we'd like to sit, if that makes sense. Does that sound fair? Does that sound okay to you, Director Williams? I guess can you remind me of time frame we'd like to get this
that would be great. So we have some time as we're setting up the work teams, but again, as you've asked, your fellow commissioners, consideration about serving on any one of the work teams, really appreciate it. Again, it's a balancing of your personal interests and your areas of expertise. Also, we can provide any greater information about the focus of these work teams, trying to make sure that we use, language, that is accessible. It's not techno jargon and speak, really trying to be pretty straightforward. And in doing that, that can leave a bit of openness about specifically what the work teams will focus on. But again, too, I think that's part of the process, part of these work teams, even crafting just some of the overall messaging of the purpose and these areas of focus for the comprehensive plan. So please feel free, obviously, send questions to the chair, send questions to Gerald and Morgan directly. They've been point and prime, and I thank them again, and everybody that's worked to decide on the plan to date.
Is it possible to get I don't know if we need the whole presentation you showed today, but certainly the slide that has the different groups and what those entail in that.
We absolutely can give you that. We also know been working on it. I've seen some chatter on Microsoft Teams. I know that Gerald and Morgan have been working on somewhat of mission statements as we talk about mobility, livability, visibility, and serviceability. So those will be things we can get out to you all as well to give you a little bit more background.
Yeah, that'd be great. And just from my opinion, just kind of a statement outside of some of this, the graphics and the artwork that are used as part of the playbook, I think are outstanding. You know, they're very well done.
Thank you. And thanks to our team in City Communications. And as you mentioned that, I mean, some of the feedback, especially as planning commissioners, that we look for as you participate in these work teams is understanding how we actually would craft and format the plan itself for the highest degree of usability, you know, not only for yourselves, but for applicants and community members. You know, there's no point in doing this and putting in the time and attention if it's not ultimately the recommendations formatted in a way that people are really going to utilize. So back of that nature, in addition to your thoughts on the particular subject matter being discussed within the work team, would be beneficial to us as well.
Okay, is there any, at this time, is there any questions from any of the commissioners they'd like to ask now? I mean, I think it's a great opportunity for all of us to be a part of this. And then, you know, it will take a little bit of time. So, you know, consider that in your thought process on a committee. If you want to serve, you don't have to serve by any means. And just opening up to you for that opportunity. So give it some thought and give me a call or an email at some point in time, and we can talk through it, you know, however you'd like to serve, if at all.
This is Commissioner Beasley.
Mm-hmm.
Did I hear a answer to a time frame in which he wanted an answer to be able to start?
Good morning, Farzin.
Good morning.
The first piece, I think, is our empowerment committee, and that's something we've looking to see if we could get that set up within. Hopefully, they'll meet no later than the end of February. Okay. I think for the work team perspective, and I'm going to ask Gerald Morgan give me a little bit of sense. I think we're about a month or so after that. I think.
Yeah, we've got. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Gerald.
Yeah, but we've got a little bit more time on the work teams. We don't plan to start those until sometime in March.
Right. But Gerald, if you wouldn't mind, I don't know about screen sharing, or I've got the slide here. I think it's understanding those cycles. So Farstein, any of those two work teams that would be part of phase one, and Gerald and Morgan, correct me, I think the phase one work teams, we think we'd be rolling out mobility and visibility first. Is that correct?
Correct.
So your question, Farstein, probably looking for those work teams to start kicking off in March. And probably have a 4-meeting cycle through June. Okay. And then move over to look at serviceability and livability starting in June through October. So if that's helpful for your plan, if you know you've got an early and very busy 2021, then that might make your judgment, because it was mobility, visibility first, livability, serviceability second. And I'll say that as we do this too, and I'm not in the same room, so nobody can kick me under the table here. They might virtually do that. But, you know, we want to be very deliberate about this particular meeting cycle. There may be times in which we bring these work teams back as the document further evolves and for other feedback. But we want to be able to set an expectation for the meeting schedule for these work teams for 2021.
Quick question. In addition to thinking about what ones we potentially would be interested in, are you guys looking for kind of recommendations of other people to be on the committee as well? Or are you guys doing that yourself?
Well, I will speak for the work teams, but for the empowerment committee, I think that is handled in
okay.
So,
but the work teams.
Well, yeah, because I think that's a question, and a lot of it, again, this is why it's so good not to be within literal physical striking distance, because I don't want to put too much pressure on our staff, and all the work for all of us. But I think we know that there's more flexibility with those work teams. Those work teams could ultimately evolve into something that is more of a larger scale virtual public meeting. that focuses in on mobility or livability or service. So there's a lot more flex there. There's a lot more room, I think, to be able to accommodate people who are looking to participate in the process. So another long-winded answer, yes. If you have lots of other people, please put those forward to us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Just one
sorry,
more
just
question.
to follow up on that, we've asked anybody throughout the process if they're interested in that process to go ahead and identify themselves. So yes, if you have somebody you think would be good for one of the roles, send them to us. If we can't find a place to get them on the mobility committee or one of the other committees, we will definitely engage them throughout the process.
I have one more follow-up question on scheduling.
Sure.
Are these meetings, I know you were saying virtual because that's what we're dealing with. What time of day are we talking about?
You know, I don't believe we've set ourselves for any particular time of day for these. And that's a very good consideration. I don't know if, you know, Gerald, Morgan, Kyle,
I think, I mean, my guess is that, and as Jeff said, we haven't really determined that yet. My guess is they would be evening, but it'd probably just be based on whatever time works best for that particular work team as well. But typically, I think these would probably be evening meetings.
Okay.
But would appreciate, again, from all of your perspectives, any feedback on that. Other options is sometimes we try floating it around. Sometimes it's, you know, it's daytime, evening, but please provide us feedback about your thoughts from that perspective as well.
Forstein, as an example of some of our other meetings, they've started around 4 or 4:30.
Yeah.
And they've kind of rolled into the little before regular dinner time. But it really does depend on the makeup of the group and how best to get people involved.
I know in the past you have had schedules that were later afternoon to pick up more people to be involved. So I just wanted to see if that still was part of your philosophy. So that's fine.
It will be.
Thank you.
And one of the things I can mention too, Commissioner Beasley, is the idea that, you know, we have our public engagement consultants with Parsons and Associates in. So lots of these considerations are kind of about work team and other pieces we're to share with them as well and get their expertise on the most effective way to conduct those meetings.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So in terms of sending you, because I had the same question as James, in terms of sending you folks that we think should be involved, would we just copy the team, you know, Kyle, Jeff, all of you guys, or do you have a point person you'd like us to direct those to?
I would ask that you copy Gerald and Morgan.
Gerald and Morgan. Okay.
They are our principals in terms of structuring this effort. I think the other thing we'll look to do too, and I'll work with the team, is that, you know, that we have kind of locked ourselves at a place about the work team and language and other mission pieces. We may look also to realign our website such that people who are expressing interest in following along with the topic will have the same kind of consistent language. So if nothing else, you can tell someone, hey, you know, go to the playbook site, which is one thing I always hope that everybody encourages people to do anyway, to register so we know they're there. And while you're there, you know, you can indicate your interest in one of these particular, you know, work teams and to receive further notification. So driving people through the website as well is another good way to make that process work. And we'll make modifications to the webpage to make sure that this work team framework is reflected on the playbook website.
And if I could just mention, when we are structuring these work groups, we're going to try and make them as accessible as possible for people who can and cannot attend the meetings themselves. So we're going to try and recreate the work team meeting structure, atmosphere. We're going to try and replicate that in a virtual format so that people can participate at a time that works best for them. So we're also trying to make sure that that is accessible. And as far as the people that would like to volunteer to be part of these work groups, I just included in the chat a link to our volunteers survey. It just asks for name and email addresses and what topics that they would be specifically interested in participating in. And that's another good way for people to just let us know, you know, when you're sending out these invites for these work groups, make sure and include all these people who have volunteered on that form too.
Okay, very good. I guess one last question on part of these groups. you already have a chair signed, or is that like voted on as soon as you get the committee put together? Or will there be a chair?
So that is a question that, we have been considering all throughout this process to understand that. From the work team perspectives, I think it may still be an open question. I think it depends on the ultimate size of the work teams. Again, identifying a chair would still be, of course, through staff support. So I think it's a bit open-ended at this point. There'll be a point person. I think we see our role in all of these conversations with the idea that what our hope is through this process is that, we are starting kind of leading off things with initial conversations, but I'm hoping over time that staff really takes kind of that back seat and clearly steering, or work team committee members organize themselves, potentially identified leadership for themselves to move forward meeting by meeting. So to be continued, chair or not, there is definitely going to be a uniform meeting structure for these groups, so that again, the time is well utilized and that the feedback is in a consistent format. So as that information moves from the work teams to the empowerment committee, there's some consistency there.
Sounds good, and fully understand. Okay, if there's any other questions? Okay, if none, again, just feel free to give me a call or email and let me know. And I think the empowerment group we'd like to have figured out here probably by the end of this month and then if you're interested in any of the other groups, I think we need to make a decision by the middle of February. So probably after our second meeting in February, we'd like to have that determined. So if there's nothing else, again, thank you for coming in, Director Williams and staff, and talking about this. It's a great program, and glad that we can be involved and be a part of it. I'm looking forward to this. So it'll be difficult, but yet a lot of fun.
Mr. Chairman, we thank you as well, and we thank you in advance for all of your participation and support in this process. This is a unique opportunity at a unique time. I can't say enough, this is generational. 20 years is a generation. We need everybody's input and support and expertise to make sure we have a great plan to help guide the next generation in Kansas City. So thank you all.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. All right. If nobody has anything else, motion to adjourn the meeting.
Boom.
And I'll need to point out too, this is like record speed time. And so I'm glad to see everybody's getting understanding of the planning commission meetings and what's going on. So great job.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Go Chiefs.
Good day, everyone.
Go Chiefs. That's right.
Go Chiefs, go CPC. Thank you all.
Thank y'all.